Hey everybody, welcome back. GameStop crushed earnings last night and announced a special warrant dividend. Absolute cinema. The stock is pinned at 25 and may be there for some time as market makers look to bleed down the chain for a couple weeks here. However, this is all happening really fast. We have that dividend record date on the 3rd, the distribution on the 7th. So things are happening quite quickly, and we want to break down all of that here for you today. We're going to recap earnings. We're going to talk about the dividend, kind of explain that a little bit, discuss why it matters if you're a short seller and how that's obviously going to affect our longs. Discussing, why we want to be hoarding these warrants, not only not selling them, but buying any on the open market that we can get our hands on as well. Discussing broker issues in the video as well. Robinhood's not going to have the warrants. That's going to, be cash in lieu instead, something that we want to avoid, as that's going to be giving them supply of warrants, and we want to hoard all of that, like I mentioned, which should drive cost to borrow up. Share lending should be turned off, and people are going to be transferring their shares out of these brokerages. So, talking about how DRS might protect you, even though Larry says everybody's good. That's always on our mind. Talking about the timeline. How is this all going to unfold in the next month or so? Going through our technicals, as always, and then discussing our options change. So quite a bit to go through. I'm going to try to get through it as coherently as possible. It's been a long and exciting day, so bear with me. Leave a like, drop a comment, subscribe to the channel for more GameStop content. And of course, we also do daily Magic the Gathering arena videos on Hello Good Game. Stop by, play a match with us. We'd love to have you. And our daily trade recaps. We like to day trade a little bit as well here on this channel. But that's all for another day, another time. Let's talk about GameStop. So the earnings recap. TradingView says EPS of 25 cents, which is BS because GameStop's saying 31, which is a massive beat over 0.04 last year, which is insane. Now, I imagine a lot of this is to do with the Switch 2 sale. Revenue is way up as well, so double beat. We don't get future guidance from Ryan, which is a bit of a bummer, but we'll get it one day. SG&A is down, which is great. So cost control is improving. Balance sheet's boosted by the Bitcoin, which I really appreciate that Ryan didn't go all in with. Just a small amount as a hedge is awesome. And, the stock reacting to that favorably, right? But we do see a retracement, and, we'll get into the technicals of all that a little bit later. In yesterday's video, to toot my own horn, I discussed how we'd break into the gap and then retest it, also discussing how on the one day we would break and invalidate our bearish order block, turning it into a breaker block, and both of those things coming true for us here today. So let's future cast a little bit further and see where we end up. But talking first about the warrant dividend, so we'll all receive one warrant for every 10 shares held by October 3rd, rounded down. So make sure you do get to the nearest zero, right? And then the distribution date will be October 7th. We get 59 million total warrants issued, 45 million to common shareholders, 14 million to note holders. Each warrant is the right to buy one share of GameStop at the strike, $32, with an expiration of October 2026. So, why does this matter for shorts? Is this, we've had a dividend before, right? We had the split, and, what did that get us? So, Poor gullet. Just kidding. Oh, that's an inside joke. You won't get that. Shorts must deliver the warrants immediately distribution, not at expiry. So they're not really afforded the right to wait to see if they go in the money and are worth something, which is nice. So only real company-issued warrants are going to count. There's no synthetics here. There's no possible creation, rehypothecation. They have their own CUISP, cusp or whatever. So if brokers are short, they're going to need to buy these warrants at the open market. This is going to create scarcity, and if retail hoards them, doesn't sell them, and maybe even buys a couple extra, they're going to vanish from circulation. Liquidity is going to dry up, and that's going to force brokerages who are shorts to hedge by just buying the underlying stock, which would technically afford them the right, um, which is interesting. So the hedge that they would have to do really benefits us in the long term. And then why you shouldn't sell the warrants. Selling gives the shorts a way out. They can buy back what they owe, but they can't unless you sell it to them, right? So we want to be hoarding those warrants. If they're in the money before the October next year, let's exercise them, and then they disappear, and then they can't get them. And then if they're out of the money, I honestly think we should let them expire worthless. They were given to you for free, and I don't think that Ryan is looking to have them expire worthless. We need to remember that he himself has a massive stake and will be receiving a lot of these warrants as well, right? So I don't think they'll expire worthless, but there could be that narrative pushed, and leave them to the 11th hour, right? I think we'll be fine. Just don't sell them, right? That's the basis here. Keep supply tight, keeps pressure on shorts, and it's 1 year. We've been here for 6 years at this point already. What's one more? I'll see you guys next Halloween, right? That will be fine. And let's talk about brokerage issues, right? So Robinhood's not supporting the warrants. We know this. There's a few other brokerages as well. Check with your specific brokerage. So these clients are going to get probably cash in lieu, not real warrants. So that's bad, right? Because that is freeing up warrants for others. This is probably going to result in a lot of transfers, probably starting today, tomorrow. People getting their shares into a new brokerage, which will guarantee them that warrant, which is nice. So, that's going to facilitate a share recall because the brokerages need shares to transfer. So that will happen before October 3rd, which should be an increase in our cost to borrow. Now we can track that, right? We're at 0.072%. So relatively low, but something that we're going to start looking at every day. And so that's going to shrink the borrowing pool, which is what results in the cost to borrow rising. We may see also an increase in computer share transfers, as they're going to be guaranteed that warrants delivery. There's not going to be any cash in lieu shenanigans attempts, which you are legally allowed to decline. The warrant is your right, and you should get it. Don't take cash in lieu. So we might see some computer share transfers as well, further exacerbating it. Tighten share supply, higher cost to borrow, more pressure on shorts. It's a reduced liquidity for them, right? And so let's take a look a little bit at the timeline. We see so many 24s and 25s on the weekly chain. It's Wednesday, tomorrow's Thursday. It is 100% possible that we get pushed to 2350 to just melt what's on the chain. Max Pain 23, so not out of the realm of possibility. And honestly, that's what I would expect. That market makers just pin us as close to 25, a little bit below if possible, and just bleed the chain down. From September 19th to 26th, similar, but I do think at this point, because there's more time, it's less, it's easy to hold something down for a couple days. It's much harder to hold it down for a couple weeks, right? At which point, they'll probably still try to hold it down and pin it, but we could see that gap fill on the 1 day, which is nice. And we'll talk a little bit more about technicals here in a second. October 3rd, we have the record dates, entitlements locked in. The DRS, the lending being turned off is crucial. Make sure within your specific brokerage that you have share lending turned off. So, because some people are thinking that whoever you've lent your shares to will get rights to the warrant. So, just nip that in the bud. You don't even have to think about it. It's like a month, right? Who cares? But then we have October 7th, distribution date. Warrants are going to hit the accounts. You'll be able to trade them under the new ticker. And any brokerage failures should be exposed at this point. People are like, I don't have warrants in my account. What's going on? And then that's a whole nother bag of, to unbox. Post October 7th, we have scarcity hit, and then option skew make night of volatility breakout, and we go from there. Uh, could be quite interesting. The whole next year from October till October is going to be absolutely bonkers, in my opinion. I don't really know though. I'm really looking forward to it. However, so let's talk technicals. We've entered our 1 day gap from 24.20 all the way up to 28.30 or something here, which is great. So talking in yesterday's video how we want to break into the gap and then turn resistance into support, because you see resistance here, and now we've broken through. Let's turn that into support, and we have a couple things lining up there. The bearish order block has been invalidated. We've now converted it into a bullish breaker block, which is awesome. We are using the bottom band, the lower band of the gap on the 1 day as what appears to be hard support farming sell side liquidity. Let's see if we can hold that. But even if we lose it by a little bit, I think it'll just reclaim next week, which is fine. This week's kind of a wash. IV Crush melted the chain, so it's going to be easy for them to just kind of finish it off, right? Aside from that, we have a major reversal, right? So our 21 in a matter of days, could be tomorrow, could be the next day, is going to cross our 50. That is a major bullish reversal. Look at the past reversals we have here. Reversing and distributing up, reversing and distributing up, and now we will reverse and distribute up. Easy peasy, lemon squeezy. I think our AMD pattern has been invalidated, but I'm going to leave it here just to remind myself of, it's okay to be wrong. It's just preparation, right? The earnings and special dividend kind of blowing this out of the water, and I think supply will remain high because of the reduced lending and the share recall that we're going to see. So, I don't see them pushing it back down into a manipulation. Like, that's not happening anymore, I don't think. But let's leave it up to remind ourselves. And, we're more kind of interested in seeing if this breaker block can hold, right? Like, this is the new area that we want to see our price hold, which is so similar. Like, there's so many things here. It's the 4-hour, right? We see the 4-hour was a point of rejection as well on the 200, but we have a reversal, which is because it's so choppy because it's the 4-hour, not the 1 day. But we have a key level breakout, which is the 200 here. A break of structure. Let's see if it can hold, right? If these can hold on the 4-hour, that's great. Similar to the 1 day, it's a little bit higher. So this is most likely resistance where that's support, and it's so tight. Like, the area is so tight that it's all just within this breaker block. On the 1 day this morning, a lot of pressure all the way up to 27 almost, and then bleeding down into open. IV Crush is brutal. So nothing really to talk about on the 1 day. The rest of the week I think could be quite boring, but it's the next weeks and then specifically the next month that gets quite exciting. So let's talk a little bit about the options chain. We see a lot of calls stacked to 25, max pain 23. We expect pinning at 25. We talked about that. The 19th to 26th, a lot of calls at 25 to 28. Puts are around 20 to 21. A bit of a boxed range, where both of them are probably wrong, where we just find home in the middle. October 3rd, record date, calls clustered around 24, 28. Light puts, upside skew, October 10th, 17th, post distribution, big open interest at 30, and even quite a bit at 50 and 60. Just speculative bets on warrant-driven volatility. Let's see how that plays out into the future. A lot of that volume's not new today. Well, actually, quite a bit of it is. But let's see how it adds up into that record date, because we already have a really nice support at 20, 24, and 30. But can we get the gap filled before then and now use the upper band of the gap instead of resistance as support? So you're taking it step by step, just kind of tracking things day by day. The Jan 26 leaps, a large concentration between 20 and 30. Try not to focus too much on the 120s. Those are just volatility play. Um, Takeaway, I guess, pinning it at 25, but option chain does skew quite bullish into October, um, right alongside the narrative, and that's why, right? Is because uh, it's traders buying the options to match the narrative, and in this case, it is quite bullish. So to wrap it up, right? Well, we actually had a couple people to call them out, discuss how warrants would be good for the company previously, which is pretty decent. Similar to the bonds, a way for them to raise capital without directly hurting the stockholder. So now we have the right to exercise, which keeps our percentage ownership the same. Which for the little guy, you might not care too much, but if you're a big fish like Ryan, you are more focused on keeping your percentage ownership high. As every time you do a bond offering or a dilutional move, you're lowering your percent as you add more shares to the float, right? So, um, to wrap things up, we beat earnings. We announced a special dividend warrants, and right now we're boxed around 25. As long as our 24 support holds, bulls are going to push to fill that gap around 28.30. But the real fireworks line up early October when the warrant distribution is going to collide with the bullish option chain and shrinking share supply, right? We've got a couple things lining up which are really nice. So if you're holding GameStop, make sure you've got your share lending turned off. Make sure you're in the correct brokerage so your warrants are delivered and not stolen from you with a forced cash in lieu. And try not to sell the warrants. If you get them, try to buy a few more if you can. I think the setup is just getting started, and looking pretty spicy, right? So if there's anything I missed, anything you guys want to go through, I'm new to this, right? Thank you all so much for watching. We're getting like 300 views per video, which is better than I thought we do to start. So I appreciate each and every one of you. I hope you had a good earnings season. We can kind of cool down now and start to talk about technicals. We'll start learning a little bit more about our indicators again, and just progress day by day. Have some fun while we do it. Thank you all so much. Leave a like, drop a comment, subscribe to the channel, and looking forward to seeing you tomorrow in the next.